The ugly truth of modern Puerto Rican Spanish that nobody talks about. I'll start by making this chill video in English because I want Puerto Ricans that live in the United States and all other audiences to hear this video with ease of access. Now, what is this truth that is so ugly apparently? Puerto Ricans speak two versions of Spanish. Our own creolized version of Spanish and the correct Spanish that is spoken officially in Spain, which we also creolize a lot, but every country does that too. Accents remain even when Spanish-speaking nations speak correct Spanish. Puerto Rican dialect is beautiful and it runs thousands of years deep into its ancestral cultures. Okay, now furthermore, it would be the same as me being Puerto Rican and I go to Mexico expecting to understand their deep dialectal Spanish. I'm not going to understand a great percentage of their Spanish. Puerto Rican Spanish has a lot of Tainismos, while Mexicans have words that originate from their own native groups, whether in the modern day or ancient times. However, just like Puerto Ricans, these other Hispanic American countries can also speak in what we would call correct Spanish. Apart from clearly being very unique, there has been things done to the modern Puerto Rican dialect that has affected negatively the Puerto Rican dialect. And even it being so evident, most Puerto Ricans don't even seem to notice. Puerto Ricans who subconsciously speak English where they are only operating in Boricua. Let's take my personal experience for example. I, for the most part, speak slowly, so speaking slower than most people. I have been asked if I was some sort of American, but in reality I suffer from a very bad speech impediment that makes me speak very slow. When I tell them this, then they realize that it's true. But there are some who don't really believe or respect an impediment. So being sort of insulted all my life, I had to also grow a backbone toward uneducated people who speak Spanish themselves worse than myself, who suffers from an impediment. There's also people who know I speak good English and would also think that by speaking English, I'm some sort of American. I also speak Brazilian Portuguese. Does that make me a Brazilian? I don't really think so. And that's where these people show their most uneducated opinions. So what are my responses when this happens to me? I usually tell these people, look, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but I speak way better Spanish than you do. Teachers all the way in the 80s and back adopted a lot of Spanglish, and culture in Puerto Rico is clearly leaning more towards everything American or English is better, and I always tell off these people that I don't speak Spanglish like they do. I actually am kind of programmed to only speak in one language. Yeah, I speak English, but I have the ability to only speak in English and to also only speak in Spanish, or my native Spanish without American English influence. These types of people would even say they are more Boricua than me because I speak English. Man, I can speak 100 world languages and still be more Puerto Rican than somebody. I would be like at this point, man, you don't know me at all. I'm just joking, but when you were playing your PlayStation as a kid, I was literally learning all the Puerto Rican words and sayings, all the Puerto Rican history. Even as a kid, I knew which words were Puerto Rican and which words were not. I spoke Spanish as a first language always, but I have always imitated accents and languages around the world, making comedy. I'm a different type of person because people would learn the same things as me, but I always took it a step further because I like to dive into things, even as a kid. At the age of like 10 or 9, I could tell my English accent was too Latino sounding, so I adjusted myself with my comedic type way of learning things, which mimicking would help me a lot in order to get it right. I've never left the island. The good English that I'm able to speak now, I only have achieved in my 20s. 100% of these people are cowardly judging a speech impediment or just prejudiced toward people who speak perfect English. I may speak good English, but I struggle deeply with it. It's not my first language, and I don't even come close to people who really speak it as a first language. So then how is it that Puerto Ricans can't speak in just one language? In part, this will be due to the teachers who have been irresponsible at the total task. The times where they teach a concept in English, they fan so much into the English terminology that they forget about teaching the Spanish side of the terminology. I mean, the teachers themselves didn't even know how to say their technical teachings from English to their original language, dialectal Puerto Rican Spanish. But if not, then just Spanish. So when it comes to knowing and practicing Puerto Rican culture, sure, I do beat them by a mile. All Boricua don't even know Taino talk, but I do. Let me start off by saying Puerto Ricans that talk Taino language are way more Puerto Rican than the general population. They are taking back their heritage. As a kid, I loved Puerto Rico so much that all that research has led me not to just keep on with my investigation to the highest level, but it has also helped me teach independently toward people from a tender age of 20. When at that age, I knew almost everything that there was to know about the original Taino language of Puerto Rico. So people do act insulting due to lack of knowledge. I'd be like, man, you crazy? Speak only in Spanish then if you say you're more Boricua than myself. You're not more Boricua than me. You don't love the island like you say. You just see it for the good times. I don't think there's actually many Puerto Ricans that have the ability to speak just in Spanish, even if they only speak Spanish. You see, this is the problem. Everybody is desperate to serve the American individual. Well, I say we can stop this, and instead of trying to learn all this English, tell the people that come here that here we speak Spanish. Then you go to their land and they try to force you to speak their language, and otherwise they would be angry, and you would then have less opportunity or would be even persecuted by the society. I've seen Americans that come and want to speak Spanish. That's good. That's the way if you truly care about our nation. If not, then that person is a bigot, and I don't think most Puerto Ricans are. There is shame, and a lot of people wouldn't like to be called out. They just don't. Even toward my personal case, I have this channel where I dive so deep into everything, especially what's Puerto Rican and the Taino. I've literally told these people that say I'm American just because I know English, bro, I can teach you Spanish. I've literally told them I can literally give you Spanish classes. Stop insulting people that sound different to you. I can go from a clinical type correct Spanish to sounding like I am literally from the streets in the island. I can imitate almost all Puerto Rican accents, which, by the way, not every Puerto Rican understands how diverse we truly are. I tell these same people, look, I literally teach everybody how to not use English and Anglicismos around my normal life. These people then believe, but some don't truly understand. As I may speak English since I was a kid, I trained to learn whatever I learned in English onto Spanish. That's why I can be a good interpreter. I've told them, yes, I speak English, but you don't get it really. I am linguistic. I'll speak Japanese and I'll sound totally Japanese, like if I dove into their culture because I can appreciate it. So if I learn the exact Japanese that they speak in Japan, are they gonna start saying I'm Japanese? That is the same situation. The reason I make this video is to say it's not about me. If you're authentic Puerto Rican, don't pay attention to somebody with speech impediments or somebody that talks different languages or somebody different to you. Dare yourself to only speak in Spanish or Boricua dialect with no English at all. Look at yourself within and really try this challenge. If you're gonna speak Spanish, then only speak Spanish without saying pawel or supel or cool or gufiao or restaurant or none of that. Or biking. Yeah, you know what I mean. Don't look at people like me. At the rate I'm going, I might speak over 7 languages by the next year, which most comes from my non-stop research. And I don't blame Puerto Ricans that were raised in the USA. Those have an excuse. And hundreds, if not thousands of them do care about our culture and learn and do research every day. This goes to people who say they are Puerto Rican. Okay, then show me you can speak Spanish, but only Spanish. Cause even if you only speak Spanish, the way our culture is that we slowly receive words from North American culture. I would argue a lot of words are being swapped in our faces, and words like bacon are replacing, for instance, such a normal word to say tocineta, and a lot of people really don't even know what it is. So it's okay, nobody is angry, but just recognize that this is just the way it has been for years now. But that's not Puerto Rican. Wanna know why a lot of people that are the most Puerto Rican speak good English? Because the nationalist Puerto Ricans had to move to safer places where they wouldn't be persecuted, like diverse New York. These people, the most Puerto Ricans to have ever lived, couldn't make a living in their own island. So now their great-grandkids and great-grandchildren may have an easier access to globalization. Can you imagine walking up to these people and just because they speak English you would say they are lesser Puerto Rican than you? When most of these people's ancestors served Puerto Rico even in El Grito de Lares and suffered persecution. I mean, what balls does one really have to actually insult these people unknowingly who they truly are? From my research, I learned these people to be Taino, but it's not that they were Taino. I know that they said that. In fact, I do believe they were mostly a mestizo bunch, which were amongst the highest Taino percentage in the island of Puerto Rico. I mean, half of the heritage of these people as early as the 50s owns the island itself. A lot of them were light colored, but they were literally a lot of them who were literally white Tainos, half Spanish and half Taino. But you can argue some were just Taino. By that, I mean pure Taino, or very close to it, running around until the 1900s in southwest Puerto Rico. In conclusion, the distractions of the culture has made English and the Anglicism seep into the dialect. And I do believe all of us, including myself, have to work harder to get back a lot of what we have lost. I think we have no excuse, like I said, and we should change our mindset. Yes, we are very accommodating and hospitable, and all this care that we've given has made us submissive, and we cannot see it. If you truly say that you are an island-bound Puerto Rican and has dignity and Puerto Rican pride, hey, I'm just a messenger. I cannot always prove to you how Puerto Rican I am, and you cannot truly show me how Puerto Rican you truly are. Because first, nobody is the same. Everybody is unique in their own way. This is not even polemic. Puerto Ricans, no. There's hundreds if not thousands of Karens and language police in the island of Puerto Rico. I'm not telling you how to, but if you truly say you are Puerto Rican, then look, it's time to raise awareness into the flaws that have crashed onto our language, because of the truth is a lot of people cannot express themselves in one language, even to the subconscious level. So, island-bound Puerto Rican that is listening, I just dare you to speak our Spanish dialect without even using Anglicismo. I get it myself. Sometimes it's very weird going from saying sandwich or sandwich to emparedado. But I do it sometimes. Thank you for watching.